Alright, let's see if we can go through some of the upgrades that we did over the winter of 2020-2021 and talk a little bit about where we're sitting for the cruise season this year. So, did a lot of upgrades with regards to getting it ready for methanol injection. And first on those was moving the intercooler to the front here. So, got a nice CX Racing front mount intercooler, which has a 2.5 inch inlet and outlet versus the 3-inch ones that are available for most of the Grand National stuff. I went with the 2.5 because I had limited space for the tubes coming down underneath between the bumper and the core support. So the whole reason for that is so I could have adequate space, and the throttle body is a 2.5 inch anyhow, so I figure that was still a pretty good choice for better breathing at the same time as giving me the ability to have the space that I need. In addition to that, we got a TE44 turbo on here. We upgraded the fuel injectors to some 42 pound-per-hour ones, and then have a match chip from the name's escaping me now, Turbo Tweak. So all that's all set to go. We ditched the valve cover mounted breathers for the tubes here, and then the breather tank from Motion Raceworks. That's basically in anticipation of the higher boost levels that were on here. And then we had quite a few things that we had to fabricate to make this thing work, because this is not a Grand National. The most obvious one was the location of the alcohol tank that's sitting here next to the battery and is actually attached to the firewall here. And we'll kind of back this up a little bit here. So you can see the inlet and then the outlets on the other side of the pump. And that's plumbing comes down here and is attached to a fabricated bracket here to the fan shroud, and then the inlet for the nozzle is in the usual location here. Also, we had to add a map sensor to this application because I didn't have one. The Ron Francis kit didn't require it, and I didn't have any type of a need to know what the manifold absolute pressure was, so it wasn't on there. So this one got added to the firewall in this location, and I have a fabricated tube coming off of the former EGR valve vacuum takeoff, and then that's just secured to the old stud which the EGR valve was located to. So just a bracket that's welded right onto that tube itself. The 3 connector harness just kind of goes up along the firewall here in the stock location, or the location that I chose here for this application at least, and then goes into the firewall with a similar grommet that we had to the other side, and with the exception of the ground wire, which just comes in here and just kind of feeds off on this little ground stud that I added to the firewall here when I put the car together. All the wiring for the alcohol system runs real nicely along the inner fender here, and kind of comes in through the same firewall grommet. So everything stayed nice and clean in the engine compartment. Added a lot more tubes and a lot more wires and so forth, but still remains pretty clean in here, and looks to the untrained eye somewhat factory, which was kind of the goal. And then moving on to the inside here, we added the electronics that kind of go along with it. So we have the Alky turn on and test box just kind of mounted next to my existing gauges, and then made a couple of brackets for the Scan Master and this turn on box at the same time, just out of some sheet metal and then painted them black. They look completely invisible, which is kind of the goal. And then a variety of LEDs that come with the system here. This one here on the left, this is the one that represents the alcohol empty tank. This one here on the far right, that is the Alky turn on that starts red and then turns green as it builds pressure up now. And then this amper one is the one that would normally go in the power slot for the Grand National, and that's just basically telling us that that we're spraying at that point. And then this one that was already in here, this is just basically the check engine light that I added when I wired the whole system up. So all in all, pretty clean install. I'm not real happy with the location of these LEDs and these gauges and so forth, because they're kind of obscured by the steering wheel when I'm driving. So thinking next year I might have to see if I can go onto eBay and find a used panel here that is in not quite as good a shape, because I can't bear to cut this one up. And then I think I can add a combination of these gauges and these LEDs to a more visible location up here. And I'm thinking something that I might be able to trim along this area here, and then with some push pins just kind of remove the whole thing when I'm driving and tuning and so forth, so I can see that, and then I can just push pin it back on there when I'm at shows or something like that, so it becomes invisible. But yeah, that's pretty much a summary of the alcohol injection system that we added over the winter. There was still some stuff underneath the car with regards to driveline improvements. I added a Ford 9-inch and a new drive shaft as well, but we'll save that for another video when I'm under the car. Thanks for looking.